Greetings everyone, TC Kirkham, TKR Video Central, and I am here with TC's Vinyl Archive Part 7, I think. I'm not sure which part it is. To do the next set of albums, and we are starting the female artists this time. Now, unlike the males, where I have some instrumentals mixed in, most of the females are vocalists, and we'll find out over the next three. This is going to be slightly longer probably because it encompasses one whole very overstuffed cube and what was left of the last male cube where I had some female stuff. So it's might be a little bit long, but hopefully you'll enjoy it. Let's get right into it with a name everyone is familiar with, Adele. This is 19. Picked this up from Black Box. I already had it on digital. Great album. Of course, this was the one that introduced her to Everywhere. Great versions of some classic stuff and some originals, of course. And of course, 25. This has all of her monster hits from the mid 2010s here, 2020s actually. No, 2010s. What am I saying? 2012, I think, is when it came out with Hello and all those on it. I do have this on CD and digital as well. Performance art isn't everybody's thing, but I've always liked this woman. I have a couple of her CDs, and I have this on vinyl. This is Home of the Brave, Laurie Anderson. I consider this as, it's a soundtrack, but I put it with Laurie Anderson because I'd never play it if it was in the soundtracks. And she's pretty good. As you can see, it has some sticker damage there. Picked this up from Record Crate. Not my favorite by her, but it's not bad. I told you on the last show that I have a lot of country female music. And I do. This one lady I loved to death when I was a very little kid, like grade school. And I ended up buying a lot of her albums. And it was your typical country. There were a couple of originals, some that would become hits for her, and the rest were covers. And that's how they did things back then. These were all from the late 60s or early 70s, and they're all by the incredible Lynn Anderson. This is a Pickwick re-release. Lynn Anderson, Flower of Love. This was the first thing I ever bought by her. This has her versions of Okie from Muskogee, Games People Play. No big hits of her own on here, but other country female hits like Stand By Your Man and Once a Day were included. Love this. How Can I Unlove You from 1971, I believe, features that track, as well as, what was the other hit off this? Don't Say Things You Don't Mean, I think. Also includes her versions of You Got a Friend, Easy Lovin', Take Me Home Country Roads, and other things. I always thought she looked like a mannequin in this picture, even when I was a kid. I have two copies of this. This is the original one. It's in bad shape. And I got this from a friend when they got rid of their collection. This is just simply titled Lynn Anderson. It's on Mountain Dew Records, so it is a cheapie. And comes from her early days on Chart, which all of these came out in the wake of her monster hit Rose Garden. This, again, does not have any of her hits, but she does do Harper Valley PTA, Big Girls Don't Cry, The Auctioneer, Ring of Fire, Crying. She was 22 here? Something like that? Why does she look older? You're My Man from Columbia. Picked this up a couple years ago. Includes her hit You're My Man, the follow-up single to Rose Garden. Also her versions of Help Me Make It Through the Night, Joy to the World, Proud Mary, Knock 3 Times, and a few other ones. And finally, What a Man My Man Is. That was actually a big hit for her. This also includes her versions of I Honestly Love You, Tell Me a Lie, Everybody's Somebody's Fool. And again, I don't know if there was any other big hits off that, but I remember What a Man My Man Is. Good album. And she's always terrific. Next up, Patty Austin, and Every Home Should Have One. Quincy Jones presents Patty Austin. This is the album that features Baby Come to Me, her number one smash with James Ingram. Everything on this album is great. She's a great, great R&B, jazzy R&B singer. I've always loved Patty. And she does vocals on other things too over the years, but great album. Picked this up just recently from Dawn. She had picked up a copy of it locally before they moved, and I said, I want that. Because I love this album. I have it on CD, and I'm like, I want it on vinyl. Basya, Time and Tide, features that song. I like the second album better, which is Warsaw, New York, London, or Warsaw, London, New York, with Cruisin' for Bruisin', but this is a great album too. Love Basya, she's amazing. Picked this up on a lark from Adam at Record Crate. Never had it before, never heard it before. And she was competent, she wasn't terrific. But again, I put this with actors who sang, even though she was better known as a Playboy bunny. Playboy, Hugh Hefner's girlfriend, actually, than she was as an actress. Barbie Benton and Barbie. She did have a couple of hits on the country chart with this. I don't really remember them all that well. But the album is actually pretty good. I hadn't heard it. And it's one of the few albums I have on Playboy Records. Want to hear about Playboy? Go back and find the Label Nova I did about Playboy. This woman deserves so much more than she gets. I love the first album. The second album is good too, but the first album, released during the summer of '78, that wonderful best year ever for music in my book. The single from this didn't chart. It was a hit locally in Spokane when I lived in there, and it did chart in Seattle on KJR, but she wouldn't have a big chart hit until '82. This is Carla Bonoff and her self-titled debut album featuring Someone to Lay Down Beside Me, which might be better known in some places by Linda Ronstadt. I love Carla's original. And this is her 1979 album, Restless Nights. This did not produce a hit, unfortunately, but it has some great stuff on it. She is just a vocalist I have always thought was well underappreciated. Did not pick up the third album personally on it, which was her only big hit. Laura Branigan and Hold Me. Caught this in the cutout bin. I had all the singles from it. This features Hold Me, Spanish Eddie, her version of Forever Young, and her version of I Found Someone. Good stuff. She's another artist we lost way too young. She was only in her 50s. This is Self-Control, featuring her number one smash. That was the number one song of the year on the Kirkham Report in 1984. Also, Ti Amo was a single from this, and The Lucky One. Comedy at its finest. At the time, it was funny. Now, there have been so many hellish acts over the past 30 years, 40 years since this came out. It's really not funny anymore. Julie Brown, Goddess in Progress, her best known for her hit single, The Homecoming Queen's Got a Gun. And there's some other great stuff on here. It's an EP. Earth Girls Are Easy was later used as the basis for the movie of the same name, which she was a part of the cast of. Next. Love this lady. We lost her in late 2024. Really fantastic. And I've got stuff from her from even younger when she was part of the Electric Company. Irene Cara and Anyone Can See. This was her first album after the success of Fame. It did not do as well as they had hoped. A lot of ballads here. Anyone Can See, the title track, was released as a single. And so was Thunder in My Heart. It's a good album. It's on Network Records. I think it's the only album I have on that label. It didn't last very long. You can see. There are lots of small labels I have for these. Her later album, uh, Charismatic, this is 1987 on Elektra. Again, no big hits, but it's Irene Cara through and through. Great ballads, great up-tempo stuff. And of course, the album everybody has if they have one, What a Feeling, features her hit from Flashdance, Why Me, Breakdance, and You Were Made for Me. Oh, The Dream was from DC Cab. 4 hit singles off this. Most of which hit the top 40, but not hugely after Flashdance, What a Feeling, of course. Other than the greatest hits, this is the only album I own by Mariah Carey, Charm Bracelet. And I own it for one reason. Her cover of Def Leppard's Bringing On the Heartbreak. It's not that I'm not a Mariah Carey fan. I have her first 3 or 4 albums on CD. But I've never bought vinyl. And I wanted that, and I got this for free. Because they were doing a postage only. I paid $5 for it. And it's a double record set. So I grabbed it. I've featured the single from this on Disco Party, and I've gotten quite a few comments. People like, I never knew she had a hit with that. I never heard that. I love that. She's a fantastic singer. And people only think of her as an actress, but she actually started as a musician. She was a lead singer in a band when she was in high school. And it would be another 20 plus years before she would release anything. 1978's Portrait from Linda Carter. This has Toto, Don't It Feel Like Paradise, and All Night Song, which is a song I play quite frequently on Disco Party. It also features her version of She's Only a Woman in her version. And a lot of great other original stuff on here. Linda's just an amazing singer, and I've always loved her. I picked this up, I got it from Black Box, actually, and I like what I've heard of it. I do like her. She's good. She changes her style every now and then. She's more of a folky rock person, but it's nevertheless terrific. This is The Firewatcher's Daughter from Brandi Carlile. I believe this came out in 2018, something like that. Can't read the date. Again, I don't follow her hits, but I love the songs on this album. Fantastic. Mainstream Kid is great. Wherever's Your Heart, terrific songs. All of them. Picked this up, I believe, from either Adam or Dawn. I'd had the singles from it and always wanted the album, and it's actually really good. Roseanne Cash and 7 Year Ache. She had a top 10 hit with 7 Year Ache back in 1980. I love the follow-up single, Blue Moon with Heartache, which was actually the flip side of 7 Year Ache originally, and it's a great song too. Roseanne, of course, had better success on the country chart than she did on the pop chart. This is a great album and was her debut. This album has changed slightly. You can tell how old it is by the way it looks. It was reissued a couple years later with a black border around the album picture and retitled Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves. When I picked it up, it was just called Share. Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves and The Way of Love, the 2 singles from this. I have a ton of Cher, as you will see here in a minute. Love her stuff. She does Heavy He's My Brother on here. And there's one other cover I love. I can't remember what it is, if it's on this one or the other one. No, it's not on this one. It must be on one of the other ones. Terrific. Her Geffen debut, Cher, from 1986. If You Could Turn Back Time, just like Jesse James from this one. The follow-up to Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves, this was Foxy Lady. She was trying to go a little bit more upscale here at Sonny and Cher show was on at this time. Living in a House Divided was the big single off this. It wasn't a huge hit. I think it peaked in the 20s. But there was Never Been to Spain, her cover of the Three Dog Night song. And I love her version of A Song for You, which here is just called Song for You. They didn't put the A on it. Cher Super Pack Volume 2. I got this when I was a kid. This is basically a compilation album. It's not all hits. It's album tracks too. and is from her days on Imperial Records in the 60s. It was reissued on United Artists in the 1970s. This was a Columbia House release. And finally, picked this up finally from Dawn a couple years ago. Take Me Home from 1979. This is Cher's full-on disco album. Really great stuff on this album. Cher is the queen of the dance charts, next, probably second only to Madonna in recent years, since Believe hit especially. Next up, this is one of those I got, I think from Dawn. I don't really know it that well, but I picked it up because it's disco, and I thought it would be good, and I liked it. I haven't yet digitized any of it. I've got to do that so we can use it on Disco Party. Ava Cherry and Ripe. Pretty good stuff on there, too. Originally released in 1980. RSO, one of their last big albums. A couple albums from Tula Clark. Memphis, I picked this up from Dawn also. This is her country flavored album. She recorded it in Memphis. No big hits on the pop charts here. It was produced by country super producer Chips Moman. And then we go back to earlier, Color My World, Who I Am, which is from the late 60s. It has that wonderful green Warner Brothers label. And let me see, I forget which singles were off this, but I haven't played it for a while. This featured While the Children Play and Color My World, and she had her versions of Winchester Cathedral, Cherish, and a few other good songs on it. I love Petula Clark. She's awesome. Natalie Cole in Unpredictable from 1977. This has I Got Love on My Mind, and I think that was the only big hit off here. She had a couple of other songs that hit the R&B chart, but I Got Love on My Mind was actually a top 5 pop hit, also a top 20 pop hit. This one, I believe, was a RCA or Columbia House. But these were two of them I picked up too. Rita Coolidge, Love Me Again, features her pseudo-disco song, You. What was the other single? Is that the only single off this one? This also from the summer of 78. I think that's the only one I can remember. I think Love Me Again, the title track, was released as a single also, but it wasn't a big hit. And her 1980 album, I'm trying to think here, Satisfied. The Satisfied was a single, also so was her version of One Fine Day. Nothing, again, that hit really big. And was it 79? 79, not 80, sorry. Rita Coolidge has one of the most beautiful voices on the planet, and I did not pick up Anytime Anywhere, the album with her big hits on it. Didn't become available when I was looking for it, but I love her. She's awesome. E.G. Daily, best known as the voice of Tommy Pickles and from Rugrats, and Buttercup from the Powerpuff Girls. What a vocalist she is. I have 2 other albums on CD. This is her debut album, Wild Child, which featured her nearly top 40 hit, Say It, Say It. Peaked at number 42. It was a number 1 dance hit. And she is just amazing. I knew her because she had been on Fame. The previous year, she played a character named Smokey, one of the students. Really amazing voice she has. This again from Record Crate. This is not one of the albums she had big hits off of. It's just simply titled Kiki D. I only knew one of the songs on here when I played it, but she's awesome, and I think she deserves more attention than she gets. And then, after I bought that, I did actually break down and get the one that has the big hits. The Kiki D Band, I Got the Music in Me. Let's see, solo and band. Although this should technically be in the band, I know, in the groups. You Got the Music in Me, of course, was her big hit. And good stuff, mid-74. If you've seen the recent cookbook from Dolly Parton, she teamed up with her little sister to do it. Her name is Rachel Dennison. And back when 9 to 5 was a television series, Rachel stepped into Dolly's shoes as Dora Lee, the character Dolly played in the film. And during that period, she also cut one country album, Light Up the Night. She has a very beautiful voice. It's similar to Dolly's. She sounds different than Stella, her other sister. And I never really got into Stella. I love Rachel. She's terrific, and you can see why she was picked to play the character that Dolly played in the movie and the TV series. Um, Sucker for This Woman, picked this up from Record Crate when he had it on sale. Jackie DeShannon, Put a Little Love in Your Heart. Always loved that song. That was one of my favorite songs when I was 6. Ah! I love Jackie DeShannon's voice, though. She can sing anything. She was fantastic. Another woman that I truly adored in the 70s, that really, she had a few hits, one big number one hit, but I still don't think she got the credit she deserved. People forget she originated the role of Mary Magdalene in Jesus Christ Superstar, and later became a dance pop singer. She cut she's cut 2 or 3 albums from the early 70s that I've looked into that are a little expensive, but I do have her 3 main albums from the mid 70s. This is Love Me from Yvonne Elliman. This features Love Me and Hello Stranger, which were both big hits. Produced by Barry Gibb, I believe. No, Freddie Perrin. Barry Gibb wrote some of the music, but Freddie Perrin produced it. Then came Night Flight, which is the album that contained her number one smash from Saturday Night Fever, If I Can't Have You. Um, I don't think there were any other hits off here on the pop chart. I do know she does a great version of Down the Backstairs of My Life, which I also have on that Joey Scarberry album I showed a couple shows ago. Um, Fantastic. And in between, she did the Moment by Moment theme. And then this one. This is the one I love more than any of them. This is simply titled Yvonne Elliman. This features her number one TKR Kirkham Report hit and top 40 pop hit, Love Pains. I frequently play it on Disco Party. I've always loved that song. It's my favorite song by her. The rest of the album is fantastic also. And if you're not familiar with Yvonne, I suggest you check her out. Oh, yeah, we're going to run over on this one. Just about halfway through, and we're already 25 minutes in. The next set. Agnetha Faltskog, Wrap Your Arms Around Me. Now, I always thought it was weird when they started doing solo stuff after ABBA pretty much called it quits, that they went the opposite. Frida went blonde, and Agnetha went back to her regular color. Agnetha is the blonde in the ABBA songs, and Frida is the dark-haired one. So, I'm like, what the heck? Can't Shake Loose was... I think it hit number 32. It was not a big hit, but the album is fantastic. I mean, let's face it, it's Agnetha Faltskog. She had a solo career before ABBA, too. Richard McCook can tell you all about it. And it's very much worth listening to. Frida's coming up, don't worry. Next up, another country artist I have absolutely adored for years. I have her first 3 albums, and then I stopped buying the albums, but I have quite a few of the singles. Donna Fargo. This is all about her feeling. A 3rd album, which had Hot Diggity Dog and It Do Feel Good on it. Little Girl Gone was also a hit off this. This was following her pop success, which is on the next album. I love Donna. She was awesome. Is awesome. She's still around. This is the first album that gained her attention, The Happiest Girl in the Whole USA. Just picked this up from, again, from Record Crate, probably. Yep. Featured Happiest Girl in the Whole USA. And I'm not sure I want to say that's the only single, because I think the other 2 are on that album. Nope, Funny Faces on this one. Sorry. Funny Faces on this. So was her cover of Johnny Be Good. Very interesting. And my second album, Donna Fargo, contains Superman, which was a big hit for her. She also does I Love You to Want Me on here, and Hot Diggity Dog, a new version, is on here. Donna was just fantastic. I love her to death. Always have. This came in a white sleeve because Dawn did not have the proper sleeve for it when I bought it. This is Roberta Flack, Blue Eyes in the Basement. Blue Lights in the Basement. Blue Eyes in the Basement. Which I believe is the one, I'm just double checking here, that has Closer I Get to You on it. This is from 1978. Closer I Get to You was a duet with Donny Hathaway. That was one of those super band duets that started off in 78 and continued to do with Barbara and Neil and John and Olivia a couple times and countless others. Anyway, it's in this white sleeve. And, okay, sorry, Killing Me Softly. Bought this when it was out when I was a kid. It has Killing Me Softly with her song and Jesse on it. Roberta Flack, I think perhaps better than anybody, represented classical soul ballads. I mean, she often hit the pop chart, don't get me wrong, but her voice was almost like an opera singer, and she could do it all: pop, R&B, dance. She was fabulous. Water Damage. This came from a cousin of mine. I've only played it once. Connie Francis sings Rock and Roll Million Sellers. These were not all her hits either. In fact, I think Lipstick on Your Collar is the only hit of hers on here. She does Silhouettes, Ain't That a Shame, Heartbreak Hotel, I Hear You Knockin', a bunch of other stuff. If you're a Connie Francis fan, you'll love it. I'm a marginal fan, I suppose. It's the only thing I have by her. I'm not something that I would seek out. But I took it for free from my cousin. I got this from Black Box. The Electrifying Aretha Franklin. This has some really classic stuff on it. And I was never a huge Aretha fan. I liked certain singles, but I wasn't into the whole gospel sound until I got much older. And now I love this. It's fantastic. No big hits. You Made Me Love You, she had a hit with, I think, on the R&B chart. Everything else is stuff that she had on other albums. Terrific stuff, though. And, as I said, the aforementioned Frida, Anna Fridlingstad from ABBA. Again, she went from brunette to blonde. This album was produced by Phil Collins, produced her monster hit, I Know There's Something Going On. It's a great album all the way around, and it was a great album to come out of ABBA with. Neither her nor Agnetha clicked in America as solo artists. They continued to have a few songs and albums that were hits. I know they did in the UK. I'm not sure about the rest of Europe. I don't know why. I have always loved the single from this album and picked it up from a Discogs seller a few years ago because I love that single. I'd love to find a remix of that single that's longer because it's a great disco party song. Patsy Gallant and Will You Give Me Your Love? This features her hit single in Canada, Stay a While With Me, which I heard when I was up there in the summer of 78 on vacation, and fell in love with it, and I love the whole album. Some of it is ballads, some of it is up-tempo dance number, like Stay a While With Me. She never got the stardom in the States that she got in Canada. Always wanted this, never picked it up until 2018 or so, when I had the opportunity and it was on sale for $5 somewhere. No, 25. I don't know, $2.59. I got it from a Discogs seller. I was going to say I don't think I paid 25 cents for it. Cindy Greco, Making Your Dreams Come True. Cindy is a dead ringer from my late cousin Debbie. Debbie looked so much like her it was scary. Making Our Dreams Come True, of course, was her only hit. It came from Laverne and Shirley, but the album is full of great mid-70s female pop. And the 3 albums I have from an artist that never got her due as a musician. She's always had respect as an actress, but she has never, until later, she had a couple big hits with her husband on the country chart later. But in her 70s period, where she was doing rock in early 80s, nothing. This is 1979's Hold On from Lisa Hartman. Love this album. It has Hold On, I'm Coming, her version of Walk Away, which Sean Cassidy wrote, and I love her cover of You Keep Me Hanging On. Great, great album. Letter Rock from 1982 was released during her run as C.G. Dunn on Knots Landing and featured the song If Love Should Go, or Love Must Go, sorry, which was a hit in Europe but not in the States. That was the best known song from her on that. She also does Hole in My Heart, which is a great song, and her cover of New Romance by Spider, also great. And I found this, I didn't even know it existed, and I found it in the again from a Discog seller. And not only is it, you know, like mint, it's a promo, white label promo. Lisa Hartman's self-titled debut from 1977, I believe, 76. The whole album is fantastic. She didn't have a hit from it, but it is an excellent album to have. That was when she was playing Tabitha in the series of the same name. Okay. Always loved this lady. Never saw the play Dreamgirls, but she was on everywhere when that was on Broadway, and I fell in love with her voice and have several of her albums. Jennifer Holliday, this is Get Close to My Love. Fantastic stuff. Read It in My Eyes was the big single off of this one. This is her debut, Feel My Soul, which features I Am Love. And isn't it? Yeah, I Am Love and Just for a While were off this. She did not include And I Am Telling You I'm Not Going because it was already a single from Dreamgirls. This is the album in between, Say You Love Me. Again, no major hits on this, but what a voice. I could listen to her sing the phone book. I really could. She is just amazing. Sissy Houston, this came from Black Box. I listened to it once. It was a Record Store Day exclusive, which means I should probably have it in the Record Store Day stuff. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. It's not something I bought on Record Store Day or from it, so it came from Black Box. But it's white vinyl. It was the debut album released for the first time in 4 decades, including her version of Midnight Train to Georgia. And I'm going to have to put that in the Record Store Day releases because I didn't realize that was there. So I'm going to put it over here so I don't forget. Thelma Houston, no relation as far as I know, and The Devil of Me from 1979. Yeah, right? 77, sorry. This was the album right after the one that had Don't Leave Me This Way on it. More great dance and disco stuff, a couple of great ballads. Love her voice too. This is the earliest album by Janet Jackson. Janet did not take off right away. Control, which launched Janet in a big way, was her 3rd album. I don't have Dream Street. I used to have a CD of it, but I lost it. Or I traded it with somebody. This album is fantastic. I love Young Love, which was a great single. Lovin' My Best Friend is a terrific song. Don't Mess Up This Good Thing. I believe is the same song, if I remember right, that was done by Glenn Scarpelli later. Good stuff. Classic album from 1979, Rickie Lee Jones, her debut album. She has an acquired taste, and I haven't acquired it all the way around. I do have a couple things by her. Love Chucky's and Love, and this whole album is fantastic. So, thank you to Adam for recommending it. I'd never even bothered to think of buying the album. I had the single. This is a 10-inch EP that came out a few years later, 1982, I believe. What's the title of this? Girl at Her Volcano. It was a $5.99 issue, so it might have been 1980 or 81. Under the Boardwalk is great. I've never heard it done quite like this. And Walk Away Renee. It's mostly, classic stuff. Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. I had never heard any of their music. I was familiar with who she was. This is another Black Box release, reissue. Yeah. Oh yeah, baby. Good old-fashioned R&B. Fantastic stuff. Now, I'm going to talk about my obsession with Carole King. I know, I grew up in the sensitive male 70s. I have never only owned one Carole King in my album in my entire life until I joined the vinyl community. And I have always loved her singles. So, for about a year or so, every time Adam would have one for sale at Record Crate on one of his sales, I would grab it. I ended up getting this many of them, and they're all worth it. I do have the reissue of, not the reissue, the original. I'll get to that in a minute. Of Fantasy from 1974. I believe it's from 74. I got to pull the album out because I can't see the titles. Fantasy had Corazon and Believe in Humanity on it. Believe in Humanity is my all-time favorite Carole King song. I never bought the album back then, but I love this. Corazon is not bad. You Let Out My Life was a minor hit as the flip side of Believe in Humanity. But I mean, the woman had been writing songs for over a decade when she started recording, and she never failed on any of these. I've loved every single one of these. She just has an amazing voice. Carole King Music. This is from 72, I believe. Open it up here. This album has the title track, which was a single. Back to California, I believe, was a single. And Sweet Seasons was the big hit off here. This is the album, the original version of It's Gonna Take Some Time is on, which Carpenters later had a hit with about a year later. Pearls from 1980 is all her own songs that she had written with ex-husband Jerry Goffin. Her cover of One Fine Day is phenomenally good. She does all of their hits. One Fine Day, Dancing with Tears in My Eyes, Locomotion, Hey Girl, Chains, Going Back. Love this album. I recently picked up the OG of this. It's in my my new acquisitions file, but I have shown it on, I think I showed it on the Kirkham Report or something. I was grateful to get that from Jim at Radio Wasteland. This is the reissue from 1986 that I have had since then. And really, Rosie, this is the soundtrack from the TV show of the same name. Yes, it should be in the soundtracks, but it's all Carole King. And I really love this, and I'm still amazed they've never turned this into a Broadway musical. Really, Rosie is just one of my favorite animated specials of all time, and the music is awesome. Rhymes and Reasons. Let me see what the singles were here, if I can actually read it. Bend to Canaan was the big single off this. This is from 72, I believe. Simple Things. This is a later album. And I know In the Name of Love and Hold On were singles. I'm not sure. And To Know You Is to Love You, her version of that. Good Stuff is on Capitol, so it's has to be pre-1978 or after. And I can't read the date. 77. It came out in 77. And has a lot of great stuff on it. Okay, that's what's going on here. Wait a minute. I don't think I checked it. I thought I'd listened to this. I have listened to it because I have the digital version of this, but I must not have ever listened to the vinyl version because it's got the wrong album with it. This is Carole King's Tapestry, and of course this is her legendary album, but it has Carole King music in it, so I have two copies of music. And I apparently didn't even notice that. Because like I said, I already have the digital, and I must not have even tried to listen to the album. Steve, I'm sorry, I got this from Steve at Value Vinyl. Didn't even notice that. So I don't have Tapestry on vinyl. Alright, I'm doing this wrong, aren't I? Yes, I am. I got to sort this out, otherwise it won't go back in correctly. And I want it to go back in correctly. Okay. And Wraparound Joy. I don't know why I think every time I do this, I think Rhymes and Reasons is the album with Jazzman on it. No, it's not. This is the album with Jazzman on it. So I do know this one. Pardon me for looking like an absolute, like, pleb here. This has Jazzman and, let's see the single, Nightingale. Yeah, great album all the way around. And I really feel silly about the Tapestry album being that screwed up and never having noticed. Holly Knight got this in the cutout bin. Features Heart Don't Fail Me Now. Holly was with Spider. She was with Device. She was with a whole bunch of different bands. And has, of course, become one of the most successful songwriters of all time. Really fantastic stuff. I repurchased these recently. I had both of them and I lost them in my cross-country move in 1981. And I've always loved both of them. So I purchased new versions. This is Cheryl Ladd's debut from 1978. You can see it as a promo copy. Really, really great stuff. Includes her only top 40 hit, Think It Over, and the awesome Skinny Dippin'. And the follow-up album, Dance Forever. This is, again, she didn't have a big hit off this. Dance Forever is great. Her version of You're the Only One That I Ever Needed was the one that I knew. I knew Dolly Parton's. I forget which one was first. I played both of them a lot. This whole group of albums by this artist, I picked up in an auction from Norman Maslow, Mazzy, when he was auctioning off the collection of his friend Coleman, who had recently passed away at the time. I picked up Coleman's whole set of this woman, and she is just incredible. I'm not going to say too much individually because the show is getting way too long, and this is the last segment, except for one album. This is K.D. Lang and the Reclines, Absolute Torch and Twang. This is still when she was in her neo-punk country phase. This is Angel with a Lariat, which was as she was kind of moving out of that phase. And then I was never a huge fan of hers. In fact, I didn't really like her at all when these were out earlier. I've grown to love these. But this album, when the single from this album came out, I was like, oh my God, what a great song. And then they're like, that's K.D. Lang with Constant Craving. This is Ingenue, which would rank in my top 20 albums of all time. I love this album. I love Constant Craving. I love Season of Lost Souls. I love Miss Chatelaine. Everything on this album is stupendously good. And this is when I became a fan. This is a special anniversary edition, 25th anniversary edition, which also includes an unplugged album and a few demos, again, from Mazzy's Coleman collection. And it's awesome. And Shadowland, again, this was in between that period. And she has a voice that I learned to appreciate as I got older. Constant Craving came out, I was almost 30. And I really fell in love with that song, and it was a #1 hit on the Kirkham Report. And this is just as good, almost. In the Nick of Time, Nicolette Larson. This is her second album. It features Let Me Go Love, her duet with Michael McDonald. Again, she's another person we lost way too young. She was only in her mid-40s. Breast cancer, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been ovarian cancer. She had a very... I always thought she sounded similar to Edie Brickell, who I also love. very similar sound, similar vibe, as a matter of fact. And now we're going to talk about another woman. When Robert Z, on one of his recent lottery contests, asked us to name our Mount Rushmore of artists, 4 people or groups or whatever, everybody knew. I think people were surprised I did not pick Def Leppard. I'm a big fan of theirs. I picked 4 people. Karen Carpenter, #1 artist of all time. Taylor Hanson, the usual lead singer of Hanson, second favorite artist of all time. And Lucas Forchhammer from Lucas Graham, who writes some of the best freaking music on the planet, and his voice is so filled with emotion. It manipulates you exactly the way he wants you to. The 4th person was this wonderful woman. When she was around as a performer from 1976 to 1979 to 1990 or 91, this woman could do no wrong. I still think she got the shaft on the pop side, because I think she out-Whitneyed Whitney before Whitney even came along, and she was younger. This woman can do no wrong with me. Stacey Lattisaw. This is not, I'm not the same girl. This was her 5th or 6th of several albums for Cotillion. Features the title track. This was the album that introduced me. Let Me Be Your Angel from 1980. Let Me Be Your Angel, Dynamite, both #1 Kirkham Report hits. She was 14 when this came out. Unbelievable. One of her Motown albums from later, Personal Attention. I don't know what's up with the hair. This has, I'm trying to figure out if this is the one that has her version. Yeah, this is the one with her version of Ain't No Mountain High Enough with Howard Hewitt, which I love. Personal Attention, Find Another Lover. Great, great stuff. 16, when she was 16, features $1 Million. Is this one? Yeah, $1 Million Babe and Miracles? Yeah, Miracles. I have to remember which singles were on here. She hit #1 so many times on the Kirkham Report chart between 1980 and 1986. It was crazy. Sneaking Out features the title track, Hey There Lonely Boy, Don't Throw It All Away, and her rejiggered version of Shirley Ellis's The Name Game called Attack of the Name Game. Similar premise, different tune. The second of the Motown albums, Take Me All the Way. Actually, this was the first one. This is the one with Nail It to the Wall, which was her last big pop hit. I could go on and on about how much I love this album. With You, my favorite album of hers overall. This includes It Was So Easy, Baby I Love You, her cover of Love on a Two-Way Street, and You Take Me to Heaven, which is the best song of her career. This song is amazing. She was 15 when this was recorded. Finally, Young and in Love. Didn't even know this existed till I found it in a cutout bin in 1985. This is her debut. Van McCoy produced these. Most of the other cotillions were produced by narrator Michael Walden. It's good. It shows off what she can do. She wasn't quite where she would be a year later with Let Me Be Your Angel, but it is fantastic. Like I said, the woman can do no wrong. She's on my Mount Rushmore. She stopped performing in 1993, is now a devoted mom, and she and her husband, at least a few years ago, owned a recording studio in Washington, D.C. He's a reverend, and who knows, maybe their kids will come along someday. Vicki Lawrence, The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. This was her only... No, she did another full-length album later, but this is the only one that came out at the time featuring that song, And He Did With Me. Woman I looked forever to find. I love her one hit single. She had one monster hit in 1979. Didn't do well on the Hot 100, but it was a number one AC hit. And then she fell off the frickin' earth. I still can't figure out what she's doing today. Orsalia, the song was I Never Said I Love You. And this album I finally picked up in 2021, and it is absolutely awesome. And finally, rounding up the first female show, the two albums released in the late... one album, not finally. Gloria Loring. I have the other one by Gloria Loring on CD, that's why I was confused. Gloria Loring, debut album. This is the one with Friends and Lovers with Carl Anderson. And the other single was Don't Let Me Change the Way You Are. It didn't become a big hit. But of course, she's heard probably daily around the world doing the theme from The Facts of Life. And now finally, this was the 1981 comeback album from Lulu. It was on the short-lived Alpha Records, featured I Could Never Miss You and If I Were You. Great stuff. And that will wrap up this show. I've been running my mouth for almost an hour. Next, females. We'll start with the M's and go forward from there. I thank you for watching. I hope you'll like, share, and subscribe to this show. Please support TKR Video Central, either through our GoFundMe or through our regular outlets on Ko-Fi and Buy Me a Coffee and all those, whatever I have up on the thing. And we got merch, people. Swag shop stuff. Love to sell it to you. Until next time, when I will be here with more female artists, I'm TC Kirkham for TC's Vinyl Archive, the complete album collection, wishing you a wonderful weekend, as I'm recording this at least, and a wonderful week afterward. I'll see you on the interwebs. Ciao, baby.